Today we're making, well, we were originally going to make chicken pot pie and then we accidentally made a chicken stew, but it has a ridiculously rich beer broth and it's loaded with smoked chicken and vegetables. Welcome back, it's Mike C from HLM You'll see as this video progresses that we went a little crazy. We were originally going to make a chicken pot pie inspired by Tieghan Gerard, who wrote The Half-Baked Harvest, and that book contains some of the coziest recipes. She is a fantastic cook, or chef, I should say. Thank you so much for your inspiration and these awesome recipes that I wish I followed a little more closely. All right, let's start with 2 shallots minced up, get them into a bowl and set them aside. With any of these ingredients that we're using today, feel free to make adjustments based on your preference. And we chopped up 5 carrots that were fit for a horse. They're a little spicier than baby carrots and they hold up to a longer cook time. And we're going to follow that by 3 stalks of celery, and you'll see we're just piling these into a bowl on the side. It's going to make it easier for when we add our ingredients to the cast iron pan in a little bit. And then for layering the flavor, we're going to use a small bunch of Italian flat leaf parsley. It's a very subtle herb, but it fills in with great flavor and the color is amazing too. Smash that into a ball and get a fine mince on that. And we're going to add that to a different bowl now, and this is going to go with our leftover herb crusted chicken. We dropped this video recipe last week and it's some of the best smoked chicken that we've ever made. Check the link above for the recipe. And honestly, if this recipe seems like it's too much work, just go make the herb crusted chicken recipe because it's easy and it's very cheap. Next, once we get all this chicken into the same bowl as the parsley, we're going to dice up a couple of potatoes. Now there's 100 ways to cut a potato, but we really like this method where you remove the ends and then slice it into 1/2-inch slices and then make equal cuts across the potato, and then you turn the potato and put a dice on it. It's pretty simple. And you don't need potatoes in this dish. You also don't need to cover your nose when you sneeze, but the people around you will appreciate it. And you'll notice I like cooking with a towel under the cutting board. It prevents the cutting board from slipping, and it's a great place to put all of your scraps, and it makes for an easy cleanup so that when you're done with your main, chopping, just kind of fold the towel up and go dump this scrap in the garbage or the compost or whatever it is in your area. They just changed it for us, so I don't really know where I'm supposed to throw this stuff away anymore. Next, get a cast iron hot over medium heat and add at least 4 tablespoons of butter. Once it stops bubbling, add the shallots, and you're going to saute these until they're translucent. Now, in chicken pot pie, you don't need to increase the flavor to the level that we're going to right now, but we're going to add 4 dried sage leaves. Be careful with sage as it can be overpowering, but in this dish it cooks out and the flavor is outstanding. Once the shallots are translucent, we're going to make almost like a roux, and I'm sure that's not the right word for it, but anyways, we're going to make a roux with a 1/4 cup of flour, and this is where we made a mistake. The flour ended up clumping and making it challenging to get a smooth broth. Does anyone know what we did wrong here? I really don't know what happened. It just turned all clumpy. So anyways, to the clumpy mess, add about 2 cups of chicken broth and whisk this, and hopefully you can get it smooth. I'll show you a method for fixing it later. Then we're going to add about 1/2 cup of whole milk or 2% milk, whatever you got lying around. The thicker the better. We like a nice thick broth. Now you can see that we still had some clumps in here, so grab a spoon, fish out those clumps, and then with as much anger as you can, trying to maintain your cool, smash them to bits. Then add about 1 cup of beer. We recommend a Marzen, which is a German style of beer. It's rich in malt without being overpowering in hops, and then continue to whisk this until it starts to thicken. Then add 2 tablespoons of back rub, which is our all-purpose seasoning. It's great for color and brings a ton of flavor to the dish. Then we're going to add in the potatoes. The potatoes take a little bit longer to cook, and you can see I for some reason stacked them on top of the other veggies and it was a total pain. Anyways, get the vegetables in there for about 5 minutes, or the potatoes, and then we're going to add the carrots and the celery. Get that well incorporated, and you're going to let that cook for another 5 minutes or so. And then we realized that we maybe didn't have enough liquid, and this is where our chicken pot pie turned into chicken pot pie stew. So add another cup of beer or so to the mixture, and you're going to want to just reduce this to a simmer. Now the color looks amazing, the smell is absolutely fantastic, but this is where you really get a broth versus that thick gravy. Next, we're going to add the chopped up chicken and the parsley. Get the chicken incorporated and cover it in the broth, and then we're going to want to remove this from the cast iron. The cast iron is going to cool for a little bit because we're going to be making a phyllo dough top. And this is where we can call it a stew, because a stew is typically something that is cooked and that is covered. I Googled it, just trust me on this one. Unfold the phyllo dough and lightly dust flour onto a cutting board or whatever surface you're going to use. Once you fold it out, we're going to roll it out. I like to put a little bit of the flour on here. When I say I like to do that, I've done this one time in my life and it actually turned out pretty good. I am not a baker. I could probably be corrected. If anyone has any better ways to roll out phyllo dough, let me know. And then what you're going to do is just roll this to the size of the cast iron or get it close to it. I'm pretty sure this phyllo dough was in my freezer for like 3 years and it still turned out super good. Now, gently roll the phyllo dough over the top of the cast iron, and you're going to want to be careful. You want to, push the thing right in the middle and destroy this fine work of phyllo rolling that we've done, and just kind of trim the edges of it and push them into the cast iron so that we can prevent any bubbling over. Now, grab a knife and cut a fancy design in top of the phyllo dough. I like this little tri-star looking thing. And now get 1 egg, beat it real good, and then I have this pretty sweet pastry brush that my mom got me, and so I'm just going to brush the egg wash over the top of the phyllo dough, which is going to help it with browning in the oven, and then it's going to create a very beautiful crust. I'll toss it in the oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 to 40 minutes until it looks like this. It's nice, it's brown, it's crispy, the smell is ridiculously good. Your whole house is going to be wafting in this, and everyone's going to be super happy, and they're going to freak out because you've never cooked anything that looks so beautiful in your life. And seriously, the smell is so good, I can't get over it. And you'll notice in the bottom left-hand corner, after I move my face, you're going to see plates. We used plates because we mistakenly thought we were making chicken pot pie, and because we added that extra beer, and we're pretty sure the extra beer, it turned into stew, and it's one of the happiest mistakes we've ever made in our life. The carrots and potatoes have absorbed the beer broth. The shallots and herbs and herb-crusted chicken are bringing an aroma unlike anything I can describe. This is a perfect cozy meal to have next to a fire in the middle of fall or winter. Now, I'm sure there's some people out there that like to eat stew in summer, and if you do, then this is the stew for you. We also eat stew in summer, so we're not judging. We'll be back in 1 week where we make a cranberry mustard barbecue sauce to get in the mood for Thanksgiving. Thanks again for showing up today. We hope you liked what you saw. Now get out and make some chicken pot pie stew, and we'll see you in 1 week.